the guy who's up next is the guy who reads your mail.
This may have been my favorite act the whole season.
Yeah, he was one of me. He's like, I'm listening today, just so you know. And I was like, I don't think you need to worry about anything we're going to say. Even though it's kind of unfair, Wes Iseli. You can't message me before we talk about you. You got to wait till after.
I like Wes Iseli. I like everything about him.
Yeah. Wes
First
Iseli
of all,
came out. Yeah.
he has an act that he can play 5,000 people.
Yeah.
And I believe he needs to bring no props with him.
Yes, that's correct.
None.
Yeah.
None. I mean, none. This is my dream act. The only thing I didn't like about him was that I didn't think of it. It is intellectually stimulating. It has a great puzzle quality. It is light, easy, breezy, and he uses a $50, a piece of paper, and a pen.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. What he does is he has, he flips a coin, has a person from the audience, or was it Allison, right?
He had Allison. Yeah.
Allison calls what it is, heads or tails, but people call it beforehand. If they think it's going to be heads, they raise their hand, and if they think it's going to be tails, they keep their hand down. And everybody in the audience does that. He flips a coin. Allison calls it out. Everyone that was wrong sits down.
Yeah.
And then they do it. He does it again and again and again. And you can run this mathematically if it were random. For an audience of 1,500, you're going to do it about 8 or 9 times.
Yeah.
We have fewer than that, so we did about 5 or 6. Because our audience isn't, we don't have the balcony in use when we do Fool Us. And he flips the coin. And finally, he gets down to a very few people. And these are all people, of course, who have all voted the same all the way through. The same as one another, not the same as themselves.
Right.
So if you've done the coin flips in an audience that size, you've got 12 people who've predicted every flip so far.
Yeah.
And then he tells them, you have to pick different from each other now.
Yeah.
And finally, he was down to 2 people. He said, pick different. He flipped a coin. Person sat down. And then Allison has been holding a piece of paper the entire time.
Yeah.
She reads out what it is, and it's a prediction of who that guy will be.
Yeah.
Who that person will be.
Facial hair, t-shirt, a shirt color, that kind of stuff. Like all kinds of descriptions, not like simple ones.
And it is so, first of all, it deals with random. And random fascinates me. That's the title of my new book.
Yeah.
And I think about random all the time. I love running things at random. I used to do a thing, I don't know if you know this, I used to do a thing called Dining by Chance. Were you part of that, Godot?
No.
We did Dining by Chance. When we were writing, I'm surprised you weren't part of it. Because I thought it was when we were writing Sin City Spectacular.
Maybe I don't know.
We did a thing where every day the writers, we had a writer's room of 4 or 5 people, we'd all go out to supper. Maybe you didn't, Godot, because maybe you went home for supper. But everybody else, all the single people, will go out to supper together. And every time, where are we going to go to supper, broke down into a kind of a ennui argument. I don't know, seafood. Do we have Japanese this week yet? I don't know. What do you feel like? Let's go someplace we can eat outside so I can smoke. No, I want to get some vegetarian options. Yeah, well, I want meat. So we came up with Dining by Chance. And we had a writer's assistant take the phone book for restaurants, the yellow pages, remember those? And cut them up into card-size chunks. And then paste the card-sized chunks on playing cards. And then we would shuffle the cards, cut them, open it, and then read the top one, go to supper there, and then cross it off. And our rule was, if you were going to go to supper with us, you had to decide to go before. You couldn't wait till we chose. This would send us to little dives downtown we never heard of. We had another rule, which was McDonald's was in there, but it was once. It was Caesar's Pizza was in there, but it was once. And we also had, there were some very expensive restaurants. But those were rare enough that the people felt they could afford it. And we did dining by chance, and it was fabulous. Because you ended up going to places you would never, ever go to have supper.
Yeah.
And, a lot of the places were terrible.
Right, yeah.
But who cares?
When I was in Taiwan, I was working with a partner.
It's a fabulous way. So my interest in random is tremendous. My interest in a bit that's all intellectual and does not play for props.
Yeah.
My interest in using the whole audience as your beautiful tapestry with no stage set, but just the whole audience is it. Everybody participates. It deals with, it's the intellectual ideas are great. So we had two ways it could be done when we watched it.
Yeah.
One of them was right. We guessed the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens on Fool Us.
Yeah.
So once he said no, there was no surprise.
Exactly, yeah. Once you were leaning into whether or not he flew it or not, like, it was very clear everyone knew what was going on as soon as your first guess was off.
Yeah, we knew it instantly. And he also taught it to me.
Right.
And I practiced it. And I also added another wrinkle to it so that we have a teller part, where teller's taking Polaroid pictures of people in the audience.
Oh, neat.
And then he gets like 10 of those, has someone pick it, and the one he picks is the one who's standing. He's done before. I thought it was a really nice idea. But I got permission from the cat to do them.
Yeah.
And, but I don't think we can do it on Fool Us because, now they're doing tricks guys on their show did.
Now, Wes is on the chat right now.
That's hilarious.
So just to take a step back here, just for the live stream only, can we get a show of hands, everybody here who's afraid of Wes Iseli?
I like him. I like him a lot. He sent me other stuff, his website and stuff. Although
Yeah.
I'll tell you, nobody can remember the name Iseli. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
It's Iseli. Is it like the Isley Brothers?
That's how I heard
And
it.
I'll remember it forever.
We'll find out in a minute.
But it's Iseli. And,
Yeah.
he's,
You flipped out, and as soon as he started, Teller turned to you and said, "This is a you kind of trick." As you written all over it.
it is probably, this includes, by the way, Penn and Teller bits. The most Penn bit of the whole speech.
And the camera actually caught you, and this is very rare for fools. They subtitled you, telling Teller mid rounds, "I could not love this trick more."
I really do. I just loved it so much.
And what's fun, especially if Wes is on the chat, what's fun is that, like, you often get put positions to also lecture and do other things like that besides that, and you often don't like to mix your art forms. If you're there to lecture, you lecture, and you don't like to do magic tricks if you're asked just to talk. This is definitely one that you can definitely just whip out at a huge lecture if you're running like 10 minutes short or something like that.
Wes has been very kind to me.
Yeah.
Of course, we've learned that when I hope people have learned that I will, if I do it, I will very likely say this is a Wes Iseli trick.
Yeah.
The only thing that stopped me from doing that is not remembering his name. But now that I can think of the Isley brothers,
Which is correct.
which is correct. This old heart of mine been broke 1,000 times, each time a different way. I'll just think that, I'll just think of Wes flipping his coin while the Isley brothers sing that.
It's your thing.
It's your thing, do what you want to do. Oh, that's right, the Isley brothers, it's your thing, right? Am I right with this old heart of mine too?
Yes.
Okay, good. But it's your thing is better. It's your thing. It's your thing.
Yeah.
So it's Wes Iseli's thing, is that coin flip thing. I just loved it. And Norman Beck. You all know Norman Beck. We had
Yes.
him on the show. Norman Beck saw that and was driven crazy because he has done coin flips, and he told me this whole story about how great his coin flipping routine was, and he was bragging. You saw this guy, but this is what I do with it, and what he did with it was so sucky compared to West Island.
That's where I was surprised that I knew you had to go one way or the other with the guess. I thought because of Norman Beck talking to you about that, I thought you were going to go the other way on the guess.
You should have. You should have. The thing was that here's why I went with the other guess. You want to know the truth?
Yeah.
The truth is that the truth of it, how he really did it, makes it worse than I didn't come up with it. Because now I can't, it's not my laziness, it's just my stupidity. Now, we're giving too big a hints, I guess, on West Side.
Yeah.
No, we're not actually.
Yeah.
I guess we're not, because the idea is so profound and so hard to think of that he'll still fool people with it.
And there's a prediction element we haven't talked about at all, which is fantastic. So.
Yeah.
Now, Norman Beck is not on the chat. Want to give a hands up as who's afraid of Norman
I'm very
Beck?
afraid of Norman Beck, though.
He knows people,
Yeah,
right?
He knows everybody.
If he can take on Lance Armstrong in court, I'm afraid he can take us all on.
He knows everyone that we don't know and everyone we're afraid of knowing.
It'd be interesting to have Norman calculate because he does, he does insurance, calculations for possible foolers. He should be giving out different odds for different people.
Oh, that's true.
That come on the show.
And my son, who, hurts my feelings, doesn't watch Fool Us. Said to me, Dad, they should do a trick where one person's juggling upside down, the other person's juggling right side up. And I said, well, you little prick. If you watched Fool Us, you might see that your dad's already done that. And the good ideas you get in your life, some of them your dad will have done, and the really good one Wes Iseli will have done.
I think that's what's hard probably having a dad in show business like that, is that when you're young, you do reinvent stuff, and all your friends don't have the scope to know that it's been invented before, so you really do think you're doing so many things for the first time when you're coming up in your teens and 20s trying to do bits and stuff. So you raining on his parade, I'm sure, is ultimately helpful, but he doesn't get the same freedom that some other kid would.
I think I invent everything. Cha-cha-cha. We become naked. Yeah, Wes Iseli. Why wasn't it my route? By not being smart enough to think like he asked me. We love you.